So I went up to Christian camp that summer, a wayward duck. But the elders took me under their wing. I was soon flying information, and it was now time for all the campers to hear me quack about it. And I said, you know, a lot of you don't know this, but I was supposed to be the lead counselor here this summer. But I had to call John 2 weeks in advance and tell him I couldn't do it because I didn't know if I believed in God anymore. And I'd been reading a lot of philosophy and stuff from other religions, and it's not like I thought that God wasn't there, but I didn't know if he was or not, and I was just really confused, and John told me, well, come up for a few weeks anyways, and just, you know, fill the soda machines, and take out the trash, and just take some time to think, and I'm glad he said that, because the Lord really spoke to me this week, and I realized that he doesn't always speak to your mind, he also speaks to your heart, and he also quack, quack, quack. But more importantly, afterwards, I meet up with Mandy for a walk in the woods, and she says, I thought you were great up there. And I say, but I don't even know if I meant what I was saying. I was just really, really feeling it. And she says, well, that was the Holy Spirit. And I say, well, but how do we know? And she says, I know. I used to feel him all the time. But that felt like a really long time ago. And then she starts crying. Mandy was... let's switch animals here. Mandy was the other black sheep at camp that summer. Just like me, she was supposed to have been a leader, but in the interim, her parents had gotten divorced. And so, whereas I was led astray by my mind, Mandy had been led astray by the flesh. Mandy was 17 with a widow's peak, these flinty eyes, and then a webcam body in the days right before webcams. And I now grab that body close to comfort her, and I'm saying, it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay. And I still, what the fuck were we so ashamed of? I was a straight A student who'd happened to read some Bertrand Russell. Oh no. And she was a teenage girl who'd had sex with 2 people. But in that rarefied air, we are tarnished veterans from the spiritual wars raging across the Republic. Allowed back into the castle keep for a few weeks to recoup and remember allegiances. We are the heretic and the harlot. And now the harlot wipes her eyes and smiles at me and said, I had a dream about you last night. I'm sure there's a lot of other words a 17-year-old who's never kissed a girl would rather hear, but I couldn't think of one of them. And she says, I don't know if I should tell you. And I say, well, now you have to. And she says, well, it's kind of weird, and I don't remember all of it, but there's this one part in the dream where we are kissing. Those would be the words. So an hour later, we are hiding in the weeds by the beach. And I swear to God, I am not over-romanticizing the past. It was actually dusk. And that part of dusk in the summer where it looks like everything's viewed through smoke for like a few seconds. And she is saying, we don't have to do this. And she's saying this because she's afraid that I am reluctant or that she's corrupting me. And it's not that. I'm just frozen. I can't do anything. But I say, I want to. I want to. And she must have seen the italics in my eyes. Because then her eyes go soft, and then do something else, and then you could say that we were kissing. There was definitely lips touching. There was some tongue action in there. There was something, but to me, what this really was an exchange of new currency. It was a new form of communication that yes, it used the mouth, but it was far more articulate than talking for the expression of an intent and instinct, and it all seemed like a long time coming. And I was thinking, why don't we all communicate this way all the time? This is fantastic. We should just always be doing this. This is ridiculous. And I was thinking, well, what if I had died? Suddenly a whole lot more of the world made sense. And I'm not kidding. It was like a watershed moment. A key would seem an absurd object if you had never seen a lock. Okay, a hook without an eye, a brick without a window. But young Dave wasn't quite ready to throw that brick. After about 20 minutes, Mandy is getting bored and she wants something else to happen. And she was willing to start the kissing, but this next step has to be taken by the man. And the trouble is I was so naive, I actually couldn't imagine what else could happen. Lifting her shirt seemed as likely as lopping off her leg. So I fell back on my usual inaction. Things dwindle, and then we stand to say goodbye. And I say, "Can I see you on Monday?" And she says, "Okay." Floating back to my cabin, my goodwill for all mankind is only matched moments later by the intensity of pain in my lower abdomen and below. How could I have known what it was? I had never even heard the term. A boy's first case of blue balls. It's a special time in a young man's life. Now, the epilogue for this story is either sad, glad, or doesn't really matter, depending on your doctrine. I did not see Mandy again. She was kicked out of camp just a couple days later when it was discovered she'd had sex with a 16-year-old camper in an empty cabin. And I sleuthed it back and discovered that, of course, it occurred on the very night I just described to you. Minutes, moments, most hours later. I'd like to think that, I got her so riled up that she was just forced to fornicate and, if not with me, then someone. But the truth of the matter is she probably knew what she wanted all along. She probably never even had that dream. And maybe they were right about Mandy. And maybe in the end they were right about me too. But maybe also it's just the pressure backloaded in the barrel that makes the bullet fire.